A9 Plus worth £259 when you buy today. Search 3 or head in-store today. Life needs a big network.
Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo, the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
A very good evening. You're watching India Global. I'm Gaurie Dwivedi. As always, this is a show that gets you the news, the views, the perspectives, the big interviews, all that matters to the global Indian. But first up, as always, the headlines. Shocker coming in from Australia. Indian origin man in coma after Australian policeman kneels on his neck. In Adelaide, Gaurav Kundi is in coma after a brutal incident. We ask the question that is it George Floyd all over again? What has the police learned? What action will be taken here? Is the spiral in Bangladesh now complete? It's attempting to erase whatever is left of Mujibur Rahman's legacy. Dhaka has dropped Father of the Nation title for Mujibur Rahman, and it has also removed him from the freedom fighter list. Is China's food security at major risk? Wheat harvest at a 7-year low, indicating that all is not well when it comes to China's ability to feed its massive population. Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla-led mission has been postponed. The Shukla space flight to ISS has now been pushed ahead till 10th of June. Celebration turned to a shocker where at least 7 people have lost their lives after the RCB victory parade stampede turned into fatal incident. We're going to get you that details in just a bit. We're starting the show with some breaking news that's coming in on the broadcast. We're going to put that out. The frenzied celebration in Bengaluru over RCB victory has now turned into a very fatal incident. Essentially, frenzy turning into fatal incident. 18 long years it took for the trophy, the IPL trophy, to come to Bengaluru, and it has now taken a harrowing turn with 7 people, including a woman, feared dead in a stampede that followed. People were out on the streets. They wanted to participate in the celebrations, but well, unfortunately, this is the other side. The chaos that began minutes back after a crowd gathered near the Chinnaswamy Stadium for a felicitation of the team held by the Karnataka State Cricket Association. On your screens, viewers, is exactly how the story unfolded. Police shifting injured and unconscious people to a nearby hospital. And unfortunately, as I said, celebrations taking a very sour, unfortunate turn. Turning attention now to our big story this Wednesday on India Global. A man lies in coma in Adelaide tonight, bruised, unconscious, and possibly brain damaged. This after a police takedown that has shaken Australia's conscience, more importantly, the Indian Australian community. 700,000 strong community which has been shaken up by this incident. 42-year-old Gaurav Kundi, a father of 2 and of Indian origin, was allegedly mistaken for a violent suspect. What followed may haunt not only Adelaide and Australia, but also each and every member of the 700,000 strong Indian Australian community. His partner, his wife actually, Amritpal Kaur, says the police were wrong. It wasn't a case of domestic violence, which is what they assumed and got into the middle of it. The victim was in fact drunk and loud, not dangerous. But in a split second, officers tackled him to the pavement. One allegedly pinned him down with a knee to the neck. It's an image that echoes across time and borders. George Floyd's final words viewers, became a rallying cry for justice all over the world. Now, halfway across the world, 5 years later, it's exactly the same story here. Gaurav's silent coma poses the same haunting question. Was this excessive force? Was this preventable? His wife says that she stopped filming when the officer's knee came down. Meanwhile, according to doctors, Gaurav may never wake up. South Australia police say the incident is now under investigation. Body cam footage is being reviewed, but early comments by the police indicate that the use of force was, guess what, appropriate. And that raises anger, that raises issue. One can keep debating that this is not about racism, take an incident on its face. No, this has a larger trend to it. This split-second decision changed Gaurav's family's life. It changed his life forever. Not one, but two big questions arise here, viewers. Is this Australia's George Floyd movement? That's the first key question. And more importantly, will we demand answers before it's too late? The other aspect to it, police accountability. We keep hearing about it around the world again and again. Why did cops not listen to Gaurav Kundi's wife? That's the other question. At the end of the day, that is what really made all the difference. The other fact, what action is being taken against the accused policeman here? Who is going to hold him accountable? What will happen? And lastly, will there ever be action? Will there be a crackdown on police brutality? Where do you draw the line? Who draws that line? And at the end of the day, is this just going to be treated as an isolated incident? Jitarth Jay Bhardwaj, who's the managing editor of the Australia Today, joins me live. Prashant Ajmera, who's an immigration expert, I want to hear from him his thoughts, given the fact that Australia is a very important country where a lot of Indians look to migrate to, look at better avenues. And then I'm going to get Frankie Fernandez, who is a journalist, to understand what really happened. And Frankie, I want to start with you. What really happened there? Give us a first-person account, or as close to the first person as possible, because at the end of the day, this has shaken everybody's conscience, or it should at least.
Absolutely, what you said is absolutely true. Now, what I understand is that late last week, this young gentleman, just 42 years of age, ventured out in an alcoholic state. He was under the influence of alcohol. He walked out onto the street, and he was followed by his wife. Now, at that particular moment, the South Australia police were doing their regular patrols around the area, and they noticed a meal that was happening, and they got involved with it. What followed thereafter was quite shocking. The victim, 42 years old Gaurav, was pinned down onto the floor on the ground on the road, and the police there with all excessive force onto him. Now, as a result of which, he lies in coma at the Royal Adelaide Hospital. Now, his wife, at that particular moment, did tell the police, listen, this is not a case of domestic violence. He is not well. He needs treatment right now. And at that particular moment, the wife was also shooting a video. She's got a 19 seconds video, which is out in the open at the moment. Most of the television channels out here are playing that, which clearly establishes that, yes, the police did use excessive force. Now, initially, the South Australia police commissioner and also the premier of South Australia did deny and said that everything was fine as per the manual. But after they watched the video, the 19-second video from the victim's wife, they have gone back onto their word. And I'm pretty sure, based on this 19-second video, the same cop who was responsible of pinning down Gaurav is going to be taken to task. Well, this is not the first time that this has happened. This has happened in the past. Police have been held responsible for their act, and everything has definitely, there's a standard operating procedures that are in place, especially in such cases. And what I understand at this particular moment is there's a internal investigation that's already underway.
Okay.
Yes,
there's an investigation. Hold your thought there, Mr. Fernandez. I'm going to come back to you because, as I said at the beginning, it's very important to understand what happened for us to be able to then look at what needs to be done next. And in fact, Mr. Bhardwaj, I want to then come to you. given what Mr. Fernandez just said, that 90-second video explains, highlights and tells you exactly what happened at the end of the day, this was a case of police brutality. I'm not even starting the conversation around racism, but just pure on police brutality. How are we going to ensure that such cases don't happen? And more importantly, how does Gaurav's family get the kind of justice that they must?
Gaurie, definitely Gaurav's family deserve the justice, and action should be taken against if the police officers are responsible for their actions. However, I would like to be very mindful that certainly at this juncture, I wouldn't like to call it police brutality. I can call it excessive force at this moment. What the video, 19-second video, which was shot by Miss Kaur, is there. She's the partner of Gaurav. She's not the wife of Gaurav. I would like to also tell to all of the viewers. And there are two halves of the story. First half is till the time police intervened, or when police intervened, and after police intervened. These are the two parts of the story. So why police intervened is very important here. It's not that police disliked the face of Gaurav as of Indian Australian origin and they came and charged on him. No, that was not the case. So why police intervened? Because Gaurav, a drunken person walking in the street, was pushing and shoving a woman on the street. Domestic violence is a very big issue in Australia. Almost one woman lose her life to man's violence and brutality.
Okay.
So we really take it very seriously. And if this police personnel who was driving past that area, and they wouldn't have intervened if Gaurav was kind of pushing, hitting, hurting his partner, then I would be the first person to question them. Why didn't they intervene? So till here, everything was all right. However, Gaurav was drunk reportedly, as we are told by SA Paul, South Australia Police Department, that he was drunk. His blood alcohol level was, if you consider 0.5 as under 0.5 as legal limit for driving, then his blood alcohol level was 4 times of that.
Okay,
So
sir. I
was
understand what
drunk.
you're saying. I understand what you're saying, that here was a man who was drunk, and it seemed to the police that there was a case of domestic violence, and they intervened to save the woman's life. I understand what you're saying. But when the woman said that that wasn't the case, why the need for that excessive brutality? That's the simple question.
Gaurie, so let me come to the second portion of the incident now. You must have watched a movie long back. I have, when I was very young. Aishwarya Rai was there, and that explained how men coerce their victim. Domestic violence victims are coerced by men, that even though they are being hit and threatened and kept inside the home, they always say, no, it's not his fault. So we understand when police, when the partner of Gaurav was trying to explain, no, he's not hitting me, even though police officers were seeing that he was hitting her, they had a clear understanding that, all right, we will separate him. What police does, he was not arrested at that point. They were trying to detain him, put the handcuff and put them by the curb. This is the normal procedure, that they will set him by the curb. However, Gaurav was resisting like excessively, and that's when police did the wrong thing.
Okay.
I will not justify the action of police. Now there were 3-4 police officers. The second van came and they tried to tackle him, and they used excessive force. And in that process, When they tackled him, his head hit the pavement, and that's
It hit
what
the pavement, it
has
hit the road, and the car, and the movie that you're referring to that's actually provoked by, where Aishwarya Rai was there. Yes, it was a very provocative case of domestic violence brought out in great detail. But as I said, there are many layers to it. And at the end of the day, should it be treated as an isolated case, or should it then be also raise larger questions regarding the Indian-Australian community there? The fact that it does send shockwaves around the entire community. And to that effect, I want to bring in Prashant Ajmera here, because as I said, there are many layers to this conversation, and we need to reflect all of that to be true to our viewers. Prashant, how do you see this incident in terms of the impact this may have on the community there? It's a very large, vibrant, growing community, contributing very majorly to the Australian economic system. And also those sitting here and wondering, what exactly is the Australian police system doing here?
I would consider it as an isolated case, not that happening on a regular basis. Even in India also, we have a similar law that if you resist the police arrest and try to have in heat of the moments on both sides, the ego is on the sides of the police, that I'm arresting you, you cannot resist. And the person says, look, I haven't done anything. Or even if he has done anything, he's telling at that point in time that I'm an innocent. And that's where this whole thing happens. And basically, this particular person was drunk, and they needed probably more than one officer to tackle him because he was resisting it. And that's how it has happened. To me, it looks like. So I will consider this as an isolated incident. Because it belongs to an Indian community, obviously the Indian community in Australia would be in a shock that it happened in our community.
Yes.
Similarly, it will affect the people here as well, that it's happening in that one. But I would consider this as an isolated, because this happens on a regular basis too.
Okay, I still have two questions, and I'm going to put that out to both the panelists. Before that, I want to say one thing, Mr. Ajmera, that you and I speak from different positions. As someone who's an immigration expert, you may like to see things as isolated instances. I, on the other hand, would like to probably tell our viewers that one needs to also ask the question as to whether the police is trying to cover up here. Is the fact that via local media outlets not outraging about it? And why is it that years ago, when there was the George Floyd case, remember that man was also, he had very serious charges against him, but at the end of the day, a police brutality case is a police brutality case. There are no ifs, no buts, no caveats, none of that. I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back and ask exactly those two questions, which is there a cover-up, and why is there no outrage there? What is more that's not meeting the eye? More on that after this break. Stay with us.
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charged hidden commissions, then I'd made my claim.
I could be on thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple.
Save up to £462 in your car insurance when you've just used Confused.com.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus, you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo.
With 3, save £336 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And claim a Galaxy Tab A9 Plus worth £259 when you buy today. Search 3 or head in store today. Life needs a big network.
It's pandemonium, it's pandalicious, it's fantastic. It's the world of Panda Bingo.
I like to make a cup of tea, get settled on the sofa and play Panda Bingo. It's like a little bit of me time. Well, me and the pandas.
Whether I'm out and about on my mobile or just at home on the laptop, I can play my favourite Panda Bingo games anytime, anywhere. I just love it.
Brilliant bingo rooms, great games, out of this world offers. Join today at pandabingo.com/bingo.
Meet Barb. She doesn't use Employment Hero, so now she's short on staff and drowning in CVs. Never fear, Big Ears over here has a smarter way to hire. No more dealing with job ads. Now Barb can hire at the drop of a chef's hat. With instant matches to top talent, leap into the future of hiring with the world's first all-in-one employment operating system.
Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could control your blinds at the touch of a button? With Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, there's no chains, cords or wiring because these stylish blinds are driven by a rechargeable power pack. New Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, the intelligent solution for home shading.
Themselves. Welcome back. You're watching India Global. The question that we are asking about the Indian origin man who's now battling for his life in Australia because of police brutality. You can cover it up with as many layers as you want, but the story is just the same, which is there was a George Floyd case that took place in the US. It shook up the system, ensured accountability. There is a similar case that's now taken place in Australia. It's an Indian origin man, Gaurav Kundi. Will it shake up the system and will it bring about action against police brutality? I want to put that question out to the panelists, Mr. Bhardwaj as well as Frankie Fernandez, who continue to be with me, and of course Mr. Rajnara as well. At the end of the day, let me ask you this, Frankie, that how is it that there isn't enough public outrage with regard to this case? Is there some sort of an effort to try and have some sort of a cover-up? Is that how you see? Because at the end of the day, this is exactly how the George Floyd case happened, right? You can, as I said, layer it up with as many caveats. At the end of the day, it's the same case.
Well, what I understand here is that slowly and slowly, the community out there in Adelaide, in South Australia, is gearing up for a massive protest. The protest is
Okay, I'm gonna try and connect with Frankie in just a bit. Okay, I believe that line is back. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Now, what I understand is that there's a massive public outrage from the Indian community in Adelaide, South Australia. What I've also been told is that in the next few days...
There you go, Mr. Rajnara, that answers your question. It's not an isolated incident and it does raise and sends reverberations around the entire community. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Fernandez, finish your point.
Yes, so given that into context now, it's slowly and slowly building up. The local channels out here are covering this incident. Mind you, it's not very often that such an incident is gone unnoticed. Yes, the local channels out here do report on such cases, especially with the Indian community. Now, one would say like it could be, as many of them have been saying, it could be a racist attack, but definitely not. This is a very stray incident that has happened and quite an unfortunate one, which has left one person seriously in coma at the Royal Adelaide Hospital. Now, why do the police take such an action, or what could be the reason behind it? Now, you need to understand, in Australia, every 2 minutes, the police, especially in New South Wales, get a call for domestic violence or family violence. Remember, given that as a background, Indians in crime-related cases is not something new. Last year, there was a young woman who was murdered. Before that, every year...
This is not about any of those other cases. All of them are equally grave, but I want to focus on this. I have 30 seconds. I want to give Mr. Ajmera a chance to come in here, which is very quickly, sir, your message to the community in Australia of Indian origin. What would be your message to them?
My message is basically follow the law. And we are only talking about the case is happening in India, means in Australia. Similar brutality happens in India. Why we are not talking about those ones? It happens on a daily basis. Because the 700,000 community is there, that's why we are giving a time on the air and talking about those
Mr.
cases.
Ajmera, you seem to be on some other, you seem to be saying something completely different. I am not asking, you don't share my outrage, that's fine. You don't share my concern, that's fine. But for you to go on some other tangent, I'm sorry, sir.
You want to make a point that what
I'm not making a point.
Decided that outrage and
you have a business to run and I appreciate that. As I said, you have a business to run and I appreciate that,
yes
sir.
To the points every time what you want to make a point. No, we cannot make that point.
As I said, you have a business to run and you've got to say that. I'm going to not allow you to speak any further, sir. And I don't allow anybody to speak on top of each other because that's just not how we should conduct this. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there and end this. I'm going to give 30 seconds in the spirit of fairness to Mr. Bhardwaj as we wrap this up. Go ahead, sir. Your closing comments.
See, there is an outrage and this incident is unfortunate, and South Australia Police Commissioner has ordered a commissioner's inquiry, which is the I think the biggest forum for to inquire against their own police officers. So it's not that these officers, if they are found to be guilty, they'll be let off. I can assure you that if the commissioner's inquiry finds them guilty of high-headedness, excessive force, then they will be removed. As of now, when we talk, these officers are not on active duty.
Okay.
So
that's the first action that has been done. And I'm going to keep coming back to this story to ensure there's more action that's done. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on that horrific story that we're reporting from Australia. Indian astronaut group captain Shubhanshu Shukla will have to wait longer for this launch into space. The liftoff of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket has been pushed forward by 2 days. It is set to now lift off on Tuesday, the 10th of June, 2025 at 5:52 p.m. And the launch was earlier scheduled for liftoff no earlier than 8th of June. This is the second postponement of this landmark mission for the NASA-ISRO collaboration for what is the Axiom 4 mission. All right, viewers, I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back with more on the other side. Stay with us.
With 3, save £336 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And claim a Galaxy Tab A9 Plus worth £259 when you buy it today. Search 3 or head in-store today. Life needs a big network.
The Harry's starter set. Get our trim and razor, shave gel and travel cover with 30% off and free delivery. Harry's. Feel good, fellas.
Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could control your blinds at the touch of a button? With Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, there's no chains, cords or wiring because these stylish blinds are driven by a rechargeable power pack. New Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, the intelligent solution for home shading.
Meet Pete, an HR legend who hasn't discovered Employment Hero yet. He's got more employment apps than employees. Looks like Big Ears over here is about to change all that. With the world's first all-in-one employment operating system. Now Pete can handle hiring, HR, payroll and more in one place.
Panda Bingo is the home of brilliant bingo rooms, great games, and out-of-this-world offers. It's absolute pandemonium at pandabingo.com/bingo.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo. Even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy 1 bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus, you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Sun Bingo. Are you gonna bingo?
I think I'm gonna bingo. Hey, Charlie 64, are you gonna bingo?
Hey, Sassy Sam. Yeah, I'm gonna bingo. Has a 93. Are you gonna bingo?
Oh, hey, Charlie 64. Yeah, I'm defo gonna bingo. How about you, Lucky Mouse? You gonna bingo?
Not right now. I'm in the Zen zone.
We all need some time out, so play safely and only for fun on Sun Bingo.
Viewers, I'm now going to turn attention to Bangladesh, where there's been yet another assault on the democratic fabric of Bangladesh, or whatever is left of it, and its national identity. Well, the latest that's unfolding is that Dhaka's interim government under Mohammad Yunus has dropped the title Father of the Nation from a key law honoring the country's freedom fighters. In fact, he's no longer, that is, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is no longer the freedom fighter as well as Bangladesh now defines it to be. It erases Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman from the narrative of liberation. It was the last straw left in Mujibur Rahman's legacy. The Yunus regime, installed amid chaos and backed by unelected elites, is playing with fire, fueling rising Islamist sentiment and rewriting the very soul of Bangladesh's founding. What initially started as anti-quota student protests have turned into violent uprising that chased Sheikh Hasina from power. And now with Mujib name disappearing from currency and law, radical forces have been emboldened, while 1971 freedom fighters are being reclassified, demoted or dismissed. Yunus says Mujib's honor remains intact, but the fact on the ground says otherwise. A government with no democratic mandate now dares to redefine the meaning of freedom itself. As it teeters on the edge of complete meltdown of law and order, Bangladesh finds itself at crossroads between democracy, or some would say dictatorship, memory or amnesia. The erasure of Bangabandhu is not reform. It's a betrayal of the very democratic apparatus of a free Bangladesh for which thousands, in fact lakhs, laid down their lives, if you take into account the genocide that preceded the liberation war. I'm going to try and connect with Saurabh, but before that I want to get in Faisal Mahmood, Press Minister at the Bangladesh High Commission. Faisal, I give you all the time to speak today on the show. I have just one question. Is Sheikh Mujibur Rahman essentially persona non grata when it comes to Bangladesh? Because he's been scrubbed off the currency notes. He's no more the freedom fighter. He's of course not the father of the nation as well. What is the reason? You're on mute. You're on mute, Faisal. Now, I think you're still on mute, and unfortunately, that seems to be the story of the government as well. It's just not being heard because it refuses to speak about what's happening. I'm going to try and connect with both Faisal as well as Saurabh in just a bit. But viewers, at the end of the day, why we are talking about Bangladesh? Well, 2 days back, there was also the budget that Bangladesh government had come out with. And that also indicated the kind of pressures, the economic pressures that the country is facing after what happened last year. And why is there not focus on fixing some of those issues and instead prioritizing scrubbing of history? All right, let's quickly now turn attention away from Bangladesh, where redefining freedom fighters is the country's key priority, to China, where in Beijing, China's top diplomat, Wang Yi, didn't hold back in his first meeting with the new American ambassador. In fact, he slammed Washington for what he called a series of negative measures on unfounded grounds. Wang Yi demanded the US put relations back on track and on the right track, blasting new AI chip export bans, student visa crackdowns, restrictions on software sales. These are moves, he says, are choking China's rise under the guise of regulation. Ambassador Perdue, handpicked by President Trump, pushed back. He cited trade. He cited fentanyl, which is one of the biggest issues that's at the heart of this face-off, and the illegal immigration that continues to be the top priorities of the government. But behind the diplomatic smiles, the message is clear. Cold War 2.0 is heating up. This is great power rivalry. A high-level call between Trump and Xi could be the release valve. But if it happens, but with both sides trading blame and tech warfare escalating, the world's two largest economies, well, remains to be seen how will they now trade going forward and deal with the current situation that is unfolding. All right, let's turn attention now to the other story that we are tracking, which away from China, away from Bangladesh. Well, it's time to take a quick break. We come back with more stories on the other side.
Step into your future with learning that can take you anywhere.
This one is really important on the side.
All by yourself. Listening to everybody say, be everybody else. Can't you see?
Thank you, Your Honor. The case is very, very simple.
Ain't nobody just like
The Open University. The future is open.
With 3, save £336 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And claim a Galaxy Tab A9 Plus worth £259 when you buy today. Search 3 or head in-store today. Life needs a big network.
Panda Bingo is the home of brilliant bingo rooms, great games, and out-of-this-world offers. It's absolute pandemonium at pandabingo.com/bingo.
So I've just got Sun Life's guaranteed over 50 plan. Super easy, no medical questions. I finally have the confidence to devote myself to my craft.
Woodwork?
I even made this.
Really?
With Sun Life, there's a guaranteed cash payout. But this is one less thing you'll have to spend it on.
Search Sun Life Plan today and get a free gift card.
Magic family moments deserve the perfect setting. A stylish awning from House is the ideal addition to your outdoor space. Available in a range of colours and finishes, and with the option of integrated lighting and heating, you can enjoy your outdoor space for even longer. Now that is magic. House awnings, made for life.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo. Even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Unexpected bills? Need to borrow some money? Not from that slimy toad down the pub, eh?
Short-term loans from £50 to £1,500 from lendingstream.co.uk.
Beijing's all-weather friend Pakistan. Well, its former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Sartari, speaking at a press conference at the UN headquarters in New York, had an egg on his face. Why? Well, he made a comment about what else but anti-India rant. Something that all Pakistani leaders are very good at. That's how they exploit and misuse the UN platform. He went on that rant again, but this time he was fact-checked. His anti-India propaganda was effectively countered by a foreign journalist who pointed out that he had personally witnessed India's Operation Sindoor briefings being headed by an Indian Muslim officer. Remember, when it comes to Pakistan, it's always about Indian Muslims and that rant which is being very effectively countered by India. But this time it was not even India. It was a foreign journalist who countered that, saying that the rant is absolutely incorrect. I want to play out that sequence, that soundbite for all of you to understand what is it and how is it that Pakistan gets fact-checked on a daily basis at global podiums. Listen in.
Let me start with a statement you made today saying that the recent terrorist attack in Kashmir is being used as a political tool to demonize Muslims in India. Sir, I have watched the briefings on both sides, and as far as I recall, there were Muslim Indian military officers who were conducting the briefing on the Indian side.
Well, as far as the operation is concerned, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
I'm shifting focus now to China to talk about what could be probably one of the biggest nightmares for Xi Jinping. What is that? Well, he may not have enough wheat to feed his people. National security to a large extent in China revolves around food security. That's very important, and it should be as it is, as gross national power around the world is measured. There's a 7-year low at which the Chinese wheat output stands at. What does that mean? It means that they'll have to import more. It is the world's largest producer, world's largest importer of wheat at a time when there are headwinds indicating that trade will get impacted, at a time when there are conversations around how Xi Jinping will look to in fact increase his hold in within the domestic constituencies in China. Such high levels of wheat shortages are likely to have an impact on his political capital, which is why this is an important story with many legs. I'm going to try and get Einar Tangen in just a bit. In fact, he joins me live. He's a senior fellow, chairman of Asia Narrative Substack. Hopefully, there'll be less narratives, more facts here. Mr. Tangen, at the end of the day, the Chinese wheat output is at a 7-year low. It's bound to have some sort of an impact on policymakers. What are their plan B that they're looking at?
Well, they're always concerned about food security, and that has been a national priority. You're correct, under Xi Jinping. But one of the first things that leaders in China learn from their long history is that you have to have ample stockpiles, which they do have, and also right now, demand has been a little bit lower than it has been in the past. But you have to look at this on a global situation. The leading wheat producer in the world with largest exports is actually Russia. It's just across the border. They've had a very good harvest, about 3% down on their 5-year average, but 2% better than last year. And if you start looking at the CBO, the exchanges, you'll find that the wheat prices did not accelerate. In fact, the last quote was it was unchanged at about $5.39 a bushel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so wheat is a staple diet in China, of course. It's also a substitute grain in animal feed. It's particularly important when it comes to noodles, dumplings, essentially the staple diet of Chinese. If there is wheat shortage, viewers, what it does mean is that prices go up, right? Inflation is something that every leader wants to be insulated from, because that is probably the best benchmark of being able to identify how cost of living standards and people in general view the government. More so, given that China is a closed government, very little information actually comes out that is not supervised and monitored by the government. Mr. Tangen, the question really here is that how much does this impact the government's calculation, Xi Jinping's political calculation? Because as I said, there is also heavy tariffs that have been imposed on American wheat, which will not ease the prices that are set to rise, that are likely to impact him.
Well, China also consumes a tremendous amount of rice. But your premise is wrong. You started out the show saying that you're going to wanted me to do less narrative and more facts. Well, let's look at the facts. The facts are by the market. The markets react very, very closely to any kind of perceived shortage, and they have not reacted at all. Now, you can argue with that, but it's still a fact. So at this point, China is not concerned. They've had relatively low inflation. They've been concerned about actually increasing prices, not decreasing them. This is not going to hit China very hard. As I keep telling you, they have ample stockpiles, and they have other markets in the Soviet Union and South America, as well as Australia. So it is not a big story. I know that there's a desire to see it as such. But at this point, as the markets are telling you, it's not an issue for China.
All right. It's good to know, because at the end of the day, between geopolitics, there are people's lives that are at stake. And if you think that this is not a big issue, then for ordinary Chinese, it is a good thing. I'm going to leave it there. Raina Tangden joining me live to talk more about what could have larger ramifications for China. The fact that its staple diet, which is wheat, is set to probably see prices rising significantly since wheat output is at a 7-year low. All right, I'm going to turn attention now to the other important story that we are tracking. Well, as far as US-India trade deals are concerned, Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, made a very important statement. He said that the India-US trade deal is on the anvil, likely to be finalized very soon. I'm going to try and get in. In fact, I have Steve Hanke, who's a tariff economist, joining me live to talk more about how this is likely to shape and the impact this will have on the Indian economy, given the fact that this trade deal is set to have huge important ramifications from an economic point of view for both for India as well as for America as well. My first question to you, Professor Hanke, is that when you talk about tariffs, there's been a lot of back and forth. There's an expectation some of that will be rationalized. In your opinion, how do you see these tariffs likely to be? And what is your future outlook in terms of, are they likely to stay? Will they be revised? Are these all negotiating tactics for Donald Trump?
Well, I'm opposed to all the Trump administration's tariff policies, but and the reason for that is that the economic arguments that are being used by Trump are just complete nonsense and incorrect. Trump claims that trade deficits in the United States are caused by foreigners who are, as he says, ripping off America. That's not the case. The trade deficit in the United States is created by Americans who are spending more money than the GDP, the gross national product. And the only way you can close the gap between that excessive spending and GDP is to import products, goods, and services. And if you do that, of course, you have a trade deficit. It's just the arithmetic of the thing. Trade imbalances are caused locally. They're not caused by foreigners. The foreigners just react to the fact that excessive spending is occurring in a country, for example, and they accommodate that excess spending by shipping in exports. And for the United States is a good thing, because the U.S. actually, since 1974, has run a trade deficit. Those deficits have been easy to finance, and it's allowed Americans to actually consume more than they produce. So it's a good thing for Americans. It isn't a bad thing. And it's something that's caused by Americans, number one, not foreigners. And it's something that tariffs will have no effect on at all, except to disrupt international trade. So I'm very much opposed to all of the Trump trade policies. As you know, I was one of President Reagan's advisors.
Okay. So while you oppose some of those policies, they're also being opposed and challenged in court of law. And there's this face-off that's going on between the Trump administration and the courts with regard to the validity of these tariffs and whether they can be implemented and imposed by the Trump administration. How do you respond to that face-off that's playing out in courts and the kind of impact it's likely to have on global investor view, investor sentiment?
It's completely uncertain what's going on. We don't know. And we don't know for two reasons. Number one, President Trump changes his mind every 24 hours. So you don't know about that. And you also don't know what the courts are going to do. Because one court, the trade tribunal, said that the tariffs, the global tariffs that Trump was putting on were illegal. And then you had a court of appeals turning that over and saying, no, they are legal. So even the courts are confused. And of course, one reason the courts are confused, in my view, is that the courts are, of course, who's on the court? A judge, a legal person who may or may not have any idea about economics and finance. They're lawyers and judges, so they have, in many cases, no competency even to make a judgment on things.
All right. So while this face-off,
it's a mess. To keep it simple, it's an utter mess. Trump has created a huge American mess and international mess.
Okay, so while this mess goes on, parallelly what is happening is that India is becoming bigger. We are now the 4th largest economy. We've surpassed Japan. And while these negotiations and talks continue to go on, it's important to also realize that these trade talks happen in the backdrop of India continuing to rise economically. How do you see India's rise? The future outlook that may hold, because as an economist, you have a certain perspective about India's growth trajectory, its growth outlook. I want to hear that from you.
Oh, I've already indicated it's very, very positive. It looks like India is on course to have one of the highest growth rates of any economy in the world for the next, let's say, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. If you just look at the International Monetary Fund's forecast for that period, going up until 2030, India looks very.
All right. Appreciate you joining us live to decode those conversations that are taking place between India and US regarding trade talks. Shifting focus now to Tesla. Well, it leases 24,565 square feet warehouse space in Mumbai's Kurla area, and excuse me, it now has a 6th address in India. Not one of them is for manufacturing, viewers. Tesla India Motor and Energy has signed a so-called leave and license agreement with Lodha Group's Bellissimo to rent the 24,500 square feet space in Lodha Logistics Park in Mumbai's Kurla West. As per documents sourced by CRE Matrix, a real estate data analytics firm. To really understand this in greater detail, let's quickly get in my colleague Tushar to decode that for us.
Tesla India has decided to lease a 24,500 square feet service center space in Mumbai's Kurla West area. This particular service center will be very close to its showroom, which is coming up in Bandra Kurla complex. This particular bit of news comes a day after the Ministry of Heavy Industries informed that Tesla India has no plans to manufacture here locally. A few key points of this particular rent agreement that has been signed. A total of 24,500 square feet will be leased in Lodha Logistics Park, which is in Kurla West. The rent agreement has been signed for 5 years with a starting monthly rent of about 37.5 lakh rupees. In all, by the end of the 5-year term, Tesla India will end up paying about 25 crore rupees as rent for this particular space. It already has leased a actually a showroom space in Bandra Kurla complex. It also has is scouting for showroom space in New Delhi's Aero City as we speak. So essentially, Tesla wants to sell in India, not make in India, but the plans can change going ahead in the future.
All right, with that, we wrap things up on this edition of India Global. Thanks so very much for watching.
Step into your future with learning that can take you anywhere.
This one is really, really important on the side.
All by yourself. Listening to everybody say, be everybody else. Can't you see?
Thank you, Your Honor. The case is very, very simple.
Ain't nobody just like
The Open University. The future is open.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Looks like the spray tan guy will just come straight to your house. But how's it going with the chairman?
Good shot, Sir Rupert.
Big news, he's confirmed profits are up again.
You know, Nationwide have shared their profits with over 4 million of their members.
We can't compete with that.
But shouldn't we try and do something similar?
Shareholders are the beating heart of this bank. Wedge me. What's the matter? Lost your balls?
This year, we're giving £100 to every eligible member through our Fairer Share payment. Nationwide, a good way to bank.
The all-new Hyundai Insta 2025 World Electric Vehicle. The 2025 World Electric Vehicle is here and available for a 24-hour test drive. The all-new Hyundai Insta and Insta Cross. Are you in?
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charged hidden commissions, then I'd made my claim.
I could be on thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple. With 3, save £336 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And claim a Galaxy Tab A9 Plus worth £259 when you buy today. Search 3 or head in-store today. Life needs a big network.
Panda Bingo is the home of brilliant bingo rooms, great games, and out-of-this-world offers. It's absolute pandemonium at pandabingo.com/bingo.
At Vodafone, get the new Google Pixel 9a and save up to £924 when you trade in an eligible phone. Plus, experience the exclusive Circle to Search feature, available only on Android, helping you to search fast and find what you need without switching apps. Go online or in-store today. Ends 12th of June. Vodafone.
One moment you're queuing up for stamps and the next you're
joking. Seriously?
You're a millionaire. Get yourself in the draw. Lotto, will you be the next millionaire?
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. Not a very happy day here in Bengaluru. The day started with celebrations right out there on the steps of the Vidhan Sauda. The victorious RCB team came back to Bengaluru to a hero's welcome, but what unfolded was a human tragedy. celebrations and frenzy cost the lives of fans who were desperate to enter the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Several questions will be asked. 11 people, we believe, have died, not just outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium, but in multiple events where there were huge crowds. Was there enough management? Was this too spontaneous for the authorities to manage? Was there foresight of this kind of crowd? Who is guilty? Perhaps even we who were dancing and singing, building up that frenzy outside Chinnaswamy Stadium. Everyone needs to answer some really tough questions, except of course the players who are being felicitated and who are being celebrated across the city. Thousands gathered outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium in that road between Cubbon Park and Chinnaswamy Stadium. A sea of humanity. They just kept pouring, both at the Vidhan Sauda outside, all to catch a glimpse of Virat Kohli, Patidar and the team. But it turned out into a tragedy. How often have celebratory events turned into a tragedy and frenzy turned into a tragedy? Extremely difficult moments as well. Some really tough questions to be asked. I have my colleague Vasudha Venugopal from New Delhi as well, who's part of this show. We are coming to you live from outside the Vidhan Sauda. Let's first listen in to Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar and other voices on the events that unfolded a short while ago.
I have spoken to the police commissioner and all the people. I'm also going a little late to the hospital because now a lot of trouble is there. I don't want to disturb the doctors who are trying to take care of the patients. And only the exact number is not been still this one. So we are at it. We appeal to all of them to still to be calm.
How many people died?
That is why we cut off a lot of programs were there. We didn't want to continue with the program. Only within 10 minutes with one round we just closed it. And we appeal even in the metros, whatever the metros has been jammed. We are not able to start. We are taking a little bit time to see that everything comes to the normal position. There is some issues. I will come back to you after I visit the hospital.
See, it is an unexpected crowd. Nobody could visualize that such a big crowd will come.
Yeah.
And time was also very short. It was not announced. The match was yesterday, and today, at a very short time, whatever best possible arrangement can be made, it has been made.
Do you feel that, probably you should have taken more time or requested the team or something, because at the end of the day, lives have been lost now?
I do agree with you, but the situation was such, many of the players was having a commitment tomorrow elsewhere.
Okay.
So they have to leave the country tonight.
Okay.
That was the situation. That's why some of, they insisted that they should leave today.
Yeah.
So that is the reason RCB is a Bangalore team.
Yeah.
They just wanted to come and participate.
So now, to diffuse the situation, more importantly, get the crowds back home safe, what's the government doing? So any measures that are being taken right now?
No, already additional forces have been deployed.
Okay.
And a lot of efforts has been made to maintain and see that everybody should go safe home.
Well, what needs to be done now? That's a very important question Deepak Bupanna has raised. I just want to pan a little bit before I go across to Deepak, who's coming live with us. Outside the Vidhan Sauda, you see the metro stations not accessible at the moment. Huge crowds still walking down. The other fear was if the metro stations get very overcrowded at this stage. Of course, huge crowds still walking